The best short stories for kids that have great morals. The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Once upon a time there was a young shepherd boy who lived in a small village near the hills. He was often bored and lonely, and so he would amuse himself by playing pranks on the villagers. One day, he decided to have some fun by crying out, "Wolf! Wolf! The wolf is coming!" The villagers, believing the boy, ran up the hill to drive the wolf away, but when they got there, they found nothing. The boy had been lying. The villagers were angry and scolded him for his prank. But the boy didn't listen, and soon he was doing it again. One day, when the boy was out tending his flock, a wolf really did appear. He cried out, "Wolf! Wolf!" But this time, no one came to help him. The villagers had had enough of his tricks and refused to believe him. The wolf quickly chased the sheep away, leaving the boy alone and frightened. But it was too late to cry for help. The wolf had gone and the boy was left with no one to turn to. He had learned a hard lesson about the consequences of lying. From then on, the boy was more honest and thoughtful. He no longer played pranks on anyone. The moral of The Boy Who Cried Wolf is, even if you are telling the truth, lying destroys trust because no one believes a liar. Controlling your anger. Once, there was a young boy who had difficulty controlling his anger. Whenever he got angry, he would blurt out whatever was on his mind, regardless of how it may have hurt those around him. His father gave him a hammer and some nails, telling him that whenever he got angry he should hammer a nail into the backyard fence. Initially he used up half of the nails in the first few days, but eventually he was able to reduce his usage until his temper was under control. His father then asked him to remove one nail for each day he didn't lose his temper. When he had removed the last nail, his father said to him, "You've done well, but can you see the holes in the wall? The fence will never be the same." Just like that, when you say mean things in anger, you'll leave a scar. The moral of the controller anger story is, anger is one of the most harmful weapons, similar to a knife. The wounds will mend after using it, but the scars will endure. The Proud Rose. Once upon a time, in a distant desert, there was a rose who was extravagant in her admiration of her own beauty. She was so proud of her appearance that she would constantly slander the poor cactus that grew beside her, whose only fault was its ugliness in comparison to the rose. Despite the other plants in the area trying to reason with the rose, she was too consumed with her vanity to take their advice. On one scorching summer day, the desert began to dry up, leaving no water for the plants. The rose's beauty began to fade as her petals wilted, losing their color. The rose noticed a sparrow drinking from the cactus and, despite her shame, mustered the courage to ask the cactus for water. To her surprise, the cactus readily agreed, and the two plants made it through the summer together as friends. The moral of the Proud Rose story is, don't judge anyone by how they appear. The Golden Touch. Once, in a small town, there lived a greedy man. He was very wealthy and loved all things fancy, particularly gold, but his daughter was the most important thing to him. One day, he stumbled upon a fairy whose hair was tangled in some tree branches. He helped her, but his greed took over and he realized he could become even richer by asking for a wish in return. The fairy granted him his wish, and he said, "I want everything I touch to turn to gold." The fairy granted his wish, and the greedy man rushed home to tell his wife and daughter about it. As he touched various objects on his way home, they turned to gold. When he finally arrived home, his daughter ran to greet him. But as soon as he picked her up, she turned into a gold statue. the man was devastated and spent the rest of his days searching for the fairy to take away his wish. He realized the error of his ways and regretted his greed. The moral of the Golden Touch story is, greed inevitably leads to a downfall. The Girl in the Magical Forest. Once upon a time, in a magical forest, there lived a young girl named Lily. Lily loved to explore the forest and learn about its secrets. One day, while wandering through the forest, she came across a beautiful, golden apple hanging from a tree. Lily was tempted to take the apple, but she remembered her mother's words, "Only take what you need, and leave the rest for others to enjoy." So, Lily decided to leave the apple where it was and continued on her journey.
As she walked, she came across a group of animals who were in distress. A wicked witch had cast a spell on them, turning them into stone statues. Lily, being kind and brave, used her knowledge of the forest to find the ingredients for a magic potion that could break the spell. She gathered the ingredients and brewed the potion, and the animals were restored to their normal selves. They thanked Lily for her help and promised to be her friends forever.
The moral of the Girl in the Magical Forest story is, kindness and respect for nature can help us overcome challenges and make lasting friendships.